What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Jarrell Big Baby Miller. Jarrell Big Baby Miller joins the official redemption list. Okay, this is another fighter that has been put on this list due to his fall from grace, his disappointment, his failure in his career, a loss. And in this case, it wasn't an actual loss in the ring. This was a loss outside the ring. Okay. Of course, we know Jarrell Miller, born July 15th. He's 31 years of age, 6'4", almost 300 pounds. Has a decent record, 24 fights, 23 wins, 20 by knockout. No losses with only one draw. And he fought guys like Dinu, Dudapas, Gerard Washington, and he made quick work of them. He proved he was durable. He proved that despite his size, he could throw a lot of punches. Now, the punches, what I noticed with the fights he's in, he doesn't have huge, massive punching power despite his knockout ratio, because it's still impressive. 23 wins with 20 knockouts, that's still impressive. That looks similar to Errol Spence in a sense, right? Which Errol Spence, it has a reputation of being a much harder puncher, obviously. But Miller did rise in the rankings. He beat Wak. Of course, that was Dillian White's last fighter. Dudapas, he had a tough fight with Dudapas, but Dudapas is a durable opponent, so I get it. Adamic, he fought Adamic, and he was rising up in the ranks. And he talked himself on the jackpot on the WBA, the WBO, the IBF, and the IBO World Heavyweight Champion, Anthony Joshua. He planted seeds while Joshua was at the DAZN launch in New York. He stepped up to Joshua. He challenged him. He charged him out. He talked smack. He wanted that fight. And I think, as a lot of other people think, that he was able to get up under Anthony Joshua's skin, because Joshua started saying things in the press conference after the fight was made that we've never seen before, ever, period. Okay, saying, I'm going to reconstruct your face. I'm going to be the surgeon to your face. I'm going to fuck you up. He was saying these things. If you cut you open, you're nothing but flesh. There's no girth. There's no realness to you. There's nothing solid about you. You are nothing to me. Those are the words of Anthony Joshua. So knowing his normal demeanor, regular demeanor, you could clearly see that Jarrell Miller, with his mouthpiece, which he has a mouthpiece, he's a Brooklynite. He talks brash, quick, swift, witty. And he was able to get up under Joshua's skin. He even shoved Joshua to show dominance in the face-off. For the first time these guys seen each other in a long time, he shoved Anthony Joshua, and they had to separate these two guys. So he was making it a spectacle. I was seeing signs, shades of Tyson Fury, Vladimir Klitschko won. Okay? Well, it was only one fight. It was, scheduled a second fight. But Jarrell Miller was on his way of talking himself into a victory, or what it seemed like a very tough fight, because we knew Jarrell Miller was a tough guy. He could take punches from certain fighters. He took punches from certain fighters and still kept coming. He comes right towards you. He used to work the body. Again, he threw a lot of punches that made you worry about your own defense as well as offense. A guy that's throwing multiple punches, being that big, is always someone you have to worry about. And it doesn't have to be a one knockout puncher, with one punch. He doesn't have to be that way. This guy could throw 100 punches around at the time. Okay, and Miller, I think he was going to receive $6-7 million, right, for fighting Anthony Joshua. Sure, if that's not a lottery ticket won or a winning lottery ticket, I don't know what is. Okay, and the fight looked like it was a go. It was well promoted. It was Miller's time to shine. He was also an undefeated fighter. He looked like he talked with fire, passion, anger, okay? And he represented Brooklyn. On top of that, he questioned Anthony Joshua's status. Now I'm going to get to that before dropping the ball. Of course, we know that Miller tested positive for a substance called GH501516, okay? Which, if we look at what that really means, it's cardarine, okay? And it's on the black market, and it is an enduroball, okay? That is invented in collaboration between the Ligand Pharmaceuticals and GlaxoSmithKline in the 1990s, was entered into a clinical development and development as candidate for metabolic diseases and cardiovascular diseases. And it was abandoned in 2007 because of animal testing showed that the drug caused cancer to develop rapidly in several organs. Okay, so this was definitely a banned substance. Okay, but the high dosage to give improved physical performance, and it worked. It dramatically improved physical performance, and they were worried about this particular drug being abused by athletes. That's why they took it off. That's why, of course, it was on the black market. Okay, now, of course, he went on after the positive drug test and said, hey, don't believe everything you hear. This is a misunderstanding. I'm waiting for the B sample. This is not what you think it is. Okay, now, the further tests proved that not only was he positive for GW 501516, right? He also tested positive for EPO and HGH. HGH is, of course, is the human growth hormone. That's the type of shit that celebrities are known to use, you know, to keep their muscles, really to turn back the hands of time for their muscles. EPO is short for erythropoietin. Okay, I know I didn't say that right, but it's a cytokine. Okay, created by the kidney in response to cellular hypoxia. It stimulates red blood cells production in bone marrow. Low levels of EPO around are constantly secreted, sufficient to compensate for normal red blood cells. Okay, common causes of cellular. All right, what does it do? What are the... Okay. Include anemia. Okay. This is something that creates higher red blood cells. Okay. So basically, this is supposed to do what Gennady Golovkin trained in Big Bear to do. Make your red blood cell count higher. So that gives you more energy. Okay. That's what explains that. So we have GH501516, EPO, and HGH. Okay. Those were three things involved, or three things that Miller had in his system. Okay. During the drug testing, training, promotions, build-up with Anthony Joshua. So this shit was coming out of his pores, basically. If you would have turned the light off, this brother would have glowed. He would have glowed. Okay? So he had a lot of things in him. And even his boxing manager came out and said, hey, I witnessed him doing some of this shit and I encouraged him not to do it. Either way, he was still caught. I don't see how he wouldn't have got caught with all the shit in his system on top of this, okay? Now, this is the kicker. This would really puts him on the list faster than the next person. Jarrell Miller was the guy in these press conferences accusing Anthony Joshua for taking steroids, okay? He was the main one saying, hey, I know that on the black market, there's rumors that Anthony Joshua has taken those. No way he could have got that big the way he got from where he was at. So basically, Jarrell Miller accused Anthony Joshua of taking performance-enhancing drugs. That's explained on how he was so skinny, then he got so damn colossal, right? Those things is what he came up with and accused Anthony Joshua of taking, right? Ironically, this is what he ended up taking himself. That's why he's on the list. And at this point of time, it made it worse on him than the first person on the list, Andy Ruiz Jr. Why? Because he was the first guy, or had the first opportunity, the first American, I can't say the first American last year to get an opportunity to face Anthony Joshua in America on home soil. He had that opportunity and he blew it. He took drugs, one after the other. It could have been a cocktail. It doesn't matter. He wanted to win and he wanted to cheat to do it. So many people blasted him, and they should have blasted him simply because he accused a guy of doing something that he knew damn well he was doing. Okay? And then he broke down and said, I made a bad call. So after all the bullshit, after all the smoke screen and the lies and the denial, then he comes clean and says, I made a bad call. I made a mistake. I'm hurting inside. Then he's out. Ruiz is in. But Ruiz wins. That was a psychological blow for Jarrell Miller, knowing maybe if I wouldn't have cheated, maybe if I would have believed in myself and not cheated, not took these drugs, consumed this shit in my body to get an edge because I had a hatred, an envy for this guy so bad. Maybe if I wouldn't have done that, I might have actually beat Anthony Joshua if I believed in my ability. Okay? That's what Jarrell Miller, that's why he's on that list. He's on that list still to this day because he has not fought anyone to see where he is naturally at. So yes, he does have to redeem himself. Yes, he's on the redemption list, the Counterpunch redemption list. He is on there with others. Okay? And this is why he deserves to be on there. And he has to get himself off the list. How? He has to show that he can actually fight. He has to show that he has to have natural stamina, endurance, things that his body can create. Natural testosterone, things that your body can naturally do. We have to see what you can do in the natural, okay, in the most physical way possible. Okay, we have to see what you're really truly about. If he gets in there and fights someone that's worth a damn and he gets beat, boom, he stays on the list until he can get off, if he ever gets off. Okay. What raised the red flag with me, with Jarrell Miller, I know a lot of people cheat. It's easy to blast Jarrell Miller and then turn the blind eye to another fighter that done the same thing. Even though these were three different substances, now you could, observe that as something different, as something extra or more. But when Joe Joyce called out Jarrell Miller, Joe Joyce is 13-0, 14-0. And he called him out and Jarrell Miller was like, yeah, I'll fight you. And then Joe was like, okay, let's get it on. After your ban is up, after your suspension is up, let's do it. Jarrell Miller said I needed a tune-up. That worried me. Okay? That concerned me. Why? because it showed that he was not, by making that response, by saying, oh no, I need a tune-up. I can't take on someone like Joe Joyce. Why? Because he wasn't believing that he was good enough by himself. So that makes you question, how long were you taking this shit for? Were you taking this shit for years? Because remember, he got busted before. This ain't the first time he got caught, right? This is the first time he got caught when it was so much that he could have gained. So for him saying, no, I need a tune-up, instead of taking on Joe Joyce, which Joe Joyce is what? Is he at contender status right now? Sure, he's older, he's bigger. They call him the Colossus, no, the Juggernaut, right? The Juggernaut is big, he's huge, he's slow. He does have power. But why does Jarrell Miller have to have a tune-up, right? If he's been so in the gym training and this and that and the other, he might not have faith in his own natural ability. He's been taking drugs so long. So we have to see where he's at, honestly, before knowing where he is. And that's the only way we're going to know. If he fights someone, of course, he's going to be on the WBC, the VADA testing year round. And if he gets caught again, he's gone for good. He should be. Bye. See you later, Jarrell Miller. Go back to kickboxing or look up that boxing contract that you mentioned that he claimed that he had before taking the fight with Joshua. Remember that? Those are the things he might consider if he cannot pull the trigger, if he cannot throw those punches that he could when he was juicing. If he can't do that, that means this whole time, your whole career is based on you cheating. Period. So these are the things that he has to do. He has to fight someone credible, show the public, the world, everyone, himself, that he can fight without drugs, that he doesn't need banned substances and performance-enhancing drugs to perform. That's what he's going to need to get off this list. Until then, that's why he's on. You guys tell me what you think about Jarrell Miller. Can he get off the list? Will he get off the list? Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.